goals and dreams and aspirations, but at the same time, like, this is a place like women's basketball has really never been before. So it's like, no, like I never really imagined it on this magnitude, but also like I've always been a supporter of women's basketball. It's always been something I've loved ever since a young age. Like I grew up watching the Minnesota Lynx. Like they had a dynasty, and Maya Moore was my favorite player growing up. But now coming to Indianapolis, where like the Indiana Fever were really good, Tamika Catchings is one of the best of all time, and getting to have that resource of her to lean on during these moments, I think is something that's really important for me. But I think like I don't know, with like the magnitude of where everything's gone, like I feel like I've tried to stay like right in the middle. I think like one of the best pieces of advice that somebody gave me is like at the level you feel like all the praise, like that's the same level you'll feel all the hate. So I try to stay right in the middle. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I think it's just what comes with it. And like growing up, my mom always said like people want to see you fail. Like,
hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So Caitlin Clark just broke another massive record. And when I say massive, I mean one of those records that makes you stop and think for a second. Because this isn't just another statistical milestone. This is one of those accomplishments that feels almost impossible to replicate. Seriously, when you look at what Caitlin Clark has done through her first 59 games, it's hard to fully appreciate how ridiculous these numbers actually are. There are a lot of records in basketball that eventually get broken. That's just the reality of sports. The game evolves, players get better, and records that once seemed impossible eventually fall. But every now and then, a player comes along and sets a record that feels completely different. And honestly, this might be one of those records. When people talk about scoring records, I can usually imagine someone breaking them eventually. Maybe 20 years from now, maybe 30 years from now. Maybe some future superstar comes into the league and averages unbelievable numbers right from day one. But when we're talking about reaching 1,000 points and 500 assists this quickly, that's a completely different challenge. Think about what it actually requires. To even have a chance at matching Caitlin Clark's pace, a player would need to average around 18 points per game while also averaging nearly 9 assists per game from the moment they enter the league. That's not normal production. That's not something most all-stars accomplish. That's not something most franchise players accomplish. That's MVP-level production from the very beginning of a career. And that's why I look at this record and think it may be one of the safest records in the entire WNBA. The scoring cart is difficult enough. There will always be elite scorers entering the league. Eventually, somebody may reach 1,000 points faster. I can see that happening. But the assist portion is where things become incredibly difficult. I honestly don't know if we'll ever see another player reach 500 assists faster than Caitlin Clark. The modern game has changed. We're living in an era of combo guards. Most guards today are expected to score, create their own shot, attack the basket, and facilitate offense at the same time. Pure point guards are becoming increasingly rare. The type of player who focuses primarily on generating assists isn't nearly as common as it once was. Even players known for their passing don't typically put up the kind of assist numbers required to challenge a record like this. Take Olivia Miles, for example. Olivia Miles is one of the best passers in basketball. Her court vision is outstanding. Her ability to create opportunities for teammates is elite. But even a player with that skill set would need to maintain extraordinary assist numbers while also scoring at an extremely high level. That's what makes Caitlin Clark's achievement so unique. You don't just have to score. You don't just have to pass. You have to dominate both categories simultaneously. And that's where the challenge becomes nearly impossible. What's even more impressive is the fact that Caitlin Clark accomplished this while dealing with injuries. A lot of people forget that part. Before her second injury, she was averaging approximately 23 points and 9 assists per game. Those are video game numbers. Those are numbers that put a player directly into MVP discussions. And despite the injuries slowing her down at certain points, the overall production remained remarkable. Most players experience injuries and see significant declines in performance. Caitlin Clark experienced injuries and still continued producing at an elite level. That speaks to her talent, that speaks to her basketball IQ, and that speaks to how special she really is. Personally, I don't think we're going to see another player replicate this statistical profile anytime soon. Could somebody eventually score more points? Absolutely. Could somebody eventually break a scoring record? Of course. But matching the exact combination of scoring and playmaking that Caitlin Clark brings to the floor is a completely different challenge. That's why I continue to believe that many of these records are going to stand for a very long time. When we talk about the greatest rookie seasons in basketball history, Caitlin Clark absolutely belongs in that conversation. In fact, there has never been a rookie season statistically comparable to what she accomplished in the WNBA. The numbers speak for themselves. The impact speaks for itself. The attention she brought to the league speaks for itself. And if the Indiana Fever continue winning games and finish near the top of the standings, there's no question she's going to be part of the MVP conversation. That's simply the reality. The combination of team success and individual production is impossible to ignore. When I think about certain records in sports, I think about players like LeBron James. There are some accomplishments that feel untouchable, not because they're impossible in theory, but because the circumstances required to achieve them are so rare. Everything has to align perfectly. You need talent. You need health. You need opportunity. You need the right teammates. You need the right coaching staff. You need the right system. And then you still have to perform at an elite level. That's what makes records like these so difficult to break. Sure, somebody might challenge the 19-assist rookie record one day. Maybe that happens. But even that would require a very specific set of circumstances. A future #1 overall pick point guard would likely need to enter a perfect basketball environment. They would need elite shooters. They would need an elite big player. They would need a coaching staff committed to maximizing their playmaking. And they would need one of the best offensive systems in the league. Without all of those factors, it's hard to imagine someone matching these numbers. That's why so many Caitlin Clark's records feel secure. And if we're being realistic, the player attempting to break them would probably need ideal physical tools as well. Maybe someone around 6'1" or 6'2", a larger guard capable of seeing over defenses, a larger guard capable of handling physicality throughout an entire season, a larger guard capable of maintaining durability while carrying a massive offensive workload. Because that's another aspect people overlook. Durability matters. Availability matters. The best ability is availability, and maintaining elite production over an extended period is much harder than putting together a great stretch of games. Again, let's go back to Olivia Miles. Even if Olivia Miles starts her career at an impressive pace, she'd still need to sustain something close to 20 points and 10 assists per game over a significant period. Just think about how difficult that is. Very few players in basketball history have been capable of maintaining that level of production consistently. That's why records like these don't get broken often. And that's why Caitlin Clark's accomplishments continue to stand out. Her rookie assist numbers were remarkable. Her scoring numbers were remarkable. Her multiple 20-point, 10-assist performances were remarkable. Everything about that rookie season felt historic. When you compare her production to players such as Sabrina Ionescu, Courtney Vandersloot, also known as Sloot, or even rising stars like Paige Beckers, you start to understand how rare this combination truly is. There are great scorers. There are great passers. There are great playmakers. But finding a player who combines all of those skills at the level Caitlin Clark does is incredibly rare. That's why so many people describe her as a unicorn, because players like this simply don't come around very often. She recorded multiple 20-point, 10-assist games. She recorded multiple assist double-doubles. She recorded a triple-double. And she accomplished all of this while carrying enormous expectations from the moment she entered the league. Those aren't normal achievements. Those aren't typical rookie accomplishments. Those are historic accomplishments. And when you look at the record books, you're starting to see Caitlin Clark's name everywhere. That's not an accident. That's the result of elite talent meeting elite preparation and elite execution. So when people ask whether these records are breakable, my answer is simple. Anything is possible. Sports always surprise us. Records are made to be challenged. But if you're asking whether somebody is going to break these records anytime soon, I don't see it. I really don't. Some of these numbers are simply operating on a different level, and the combination of scoring, passing, durability, and overall impact required to match them is incredibly difficult to find. That's why I believe many of Caitlin Clark's records will remain untouched for years, and possibly even decades. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think any player will eventually break these records? Or do you believe Caitlin Clark's accomplishments are going to stand for a very long time? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.